Welcome, dreamers of the unknown. Tonight you're invited to settle in, slow your breathing, and drift with me through a story of desert stars and hidden histories. This is Alien Bedtime Story. Fall asleep to Bob Lazar and the UFO secrets of Area 51, a gentle journey into one of the most whispered legends of modern times. As you relax, we'll explore the quiet sands of Nevada, the flicker of secret lights on the horizon, and the mysterious claims of Bob Lazar, a man whose words have stirred decades of wonder. Here, you'll hear the science, the skepticism, and the curiosity told like a nighttime lullaby, so you can rest easy while your imagination travels far. If you enjoy these peaceful explorations of cosmic mystery, please tap the like button. It helps this channel reach more nighttime thinkers like you. Share this video with a friend who loves drifting off to the sound of stars and secrets. And if you haven't yet, subscribe and ring the gentle notification bell so you never miss our next quiet voyage into the unknown. I'd love to know what thoughts or dreams visit you as you listen. Leave a comment below your reflections, your favorite part of tonight's story, or even the question you're falling asleep with. Your words help guide future journeys. Now, find your most comfortable position, let your eyes grow heavy, and allow the desert night to unfold. The story begins under a canopy of endless sky. Chapter 1. Desert at Dusk. The warm Nevada twilight drifts like a quiet tide, and the vast silence of the desert becomes a cradle for stars and science. Here you begin your journey, breathing with the land and letting curiosity settle softly across the endless sand. You step into the evening as the sun lowers itself behind a jagged rim of mountains, its last light spilling like molten copper across the sand. The air carries the faint scent of sagebrush and cooling stone. Each breath feels deliberate, almost ceremonial. You are here not only to witness the desert night, but to feel how the land itself teaches patience and scale. Every dune, every weather-carved ridge has waited centuries for this same hush. The first stars appear before the horizon darkens. They arrive quietly, the way thoughts form before you name them. You tilt your head back and the vastness opens, so wide it almost feels like a soft tide drawing you upward. This is not emptiness. It is the quiet architecture of the universe, revealing itself one pinpoint at a time. Your ears begin to notice what your eyes cannot see. The desert is never silent. A cricket pulses a rhythm like a heartbeat in miniature. Far off, a nightjar calls, the sound bending in the dry air. Even the rocks cool with a subtle crackle. Here, sound travels with an intimacy you rarely find in the noise of cities. It teaches you that listening is also a form of exploration. As the darkness deepens, the temperature drops quickly, an everyday demonstration of physics. Without clouds or moisture to hold the day's warmth, the heat radiates into space, leaving the ground cool and the air brisk. You pull a light jacket tighter, feeling how the planet itself exhales into the cosmos. This simple change holds a lesson. Energy is always moving, always seeking balance. Above you, the Milky Way stretches like a river of powdered light. You remember that each star is a sun, some larger than imagination, some with planets of their own. Light from the farthest stars began its journey before humans painted caves or shaped words. To look up is to look back in time. Your eyes become small telescopes, catching ancient messages that traveled across billions of years to meet you tonight. The desert floor beneath your feet tells another story, one of geology and slow transformation. These rocks were once seabeds, proof that oceans rolled here long before deserts claimed the land. Minerals reflect moonlight with a soft gleam, each grain of sand the weathered remnant of mountains long gone. Time, you realize, is not only measured in days and years, but in the patient erosion of stone. Walk a little farther from the faint glow of the highway. Human light fades until only the stars remain. The darkness is not frightening. It is inviting, almost tender. You feel the Earth's rotation as a subtle shift in the sky's pattern. The constellations slide imperceptibly westward, evidence of the planet spinning beneath you at more than 1,000 miles per hour. Yet you stand still, anchored, while the universe turns. A soft breeze brushes your cheek and carries a grainy scent of creosote. Each gust is a reminder of how air itself is in motion, shaped by temperature differences and the pull of pressure. Meteorologists call it convection. Here it feels like the planet is breathing. The breeze strokes the sand into low ripples, miniature dunes that echo the larger waves of the surrounding landscape. You pause to sip from a water bottle, aware of how precious each drop is in a place defined by scarcity. Desert plants know this lesson intimately. The spiny arms of a cactus store water like hidden treasure. Tiny nocturnal animals emerge only when the air cools enough to conserve moisture. Their survival is a choreography of adaptation, a living physics of heat and shade. Looking upward again, you spot a slow arc of light. At first you think it might be a plane, but its unwavering path reveals a satellite, reflecting sunlight even as you stand in darkness. Humanity has reached beyond the atmosphere, sending instruments to orbit our planet, to photograph, to measure, to listen. Each satellite is a reminder that exploration is both ancient and new, a continuation of the same wonder that guided early desert travelers by the stars. The quiet invites thoughts to drift beyond the Earth. You think of the vast distances between those points of light, measured in light years, each an almost unimaginable stretch. The nearest star system, Alpha Centauri, lies over 4 light years away. If you traveled at the speed of the fastest spacecraft ever built, it would still take tens of thousands of years to arrive. Space is not a sea we cross in a single lifetime. It is an ocean of time. Yet the desert night makes that enormity feel strangely intimate. Here, without walls or ceilings, you sense that the same atoms in your body were forged in ancient stars. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, each began as cosmic dust, the remnants of supernova. You are literally stardust, arranged into thought, standing beneath the ancestors that created you. A distant rumble interrupts your reverie. Perhaps it is a jet from a nearby testing range, or a convoy on the highway miles away. The Nevada desert has long been a place where secrecy and science mingle. During the Cold War, experimental aircraft cut silent paths through this same sky. Their trails were often mistaken for something otherworldly. The desert keeps such stories like hidden fossils, half revealed to those who listen. You find a flat rock and sit. The ground radiates the day's last warmth into your palms. Your heartbeat slows to match the desert's unhurried rhythm. Above, a shooting star streaks briefly, a grain of space dust incinerating in the upper atmosphere. It is a reminder that the Earth constantly meets the cosmos, collecting tiny fragments of other worlds every day. Your thoughts drift to the idea of disclosure. How much we know, how much remains unsaid. Across history, people have looked to skies like this and wondered who or what might share the universe with us. Ancient desert cultures mapped these stars, built stories and calendars around their patterns. Today, astronomers use radio telescopes and spectroscopy, seeking faint signals, chemical traces of life on distant exoplanets. The questions remain timeless, even as the methods grow more precise. The air grows cooler, and you draw your jacket closer, feeling the desert's paradox, a place of both austerity and abundance. There is little water, little shelter, yet an infinity of sky and time. In this stillness, your own thoughts feel both small and vast, like ripples on a dark lake. You let your eyes close for a moment, listening. The soft hiss of sand shifting, the far-off call of a night bird, your own breathing, all merge into a single, quiet rhythm. This is the music of existence, a lullaby older than language. When you open your eyes again, the horizon is a deep silhouette. The stars burn brighter, as if they have moved closer. You sense that the night is not merely above you, but around you, a gentle ocean of space in which Earth floats like a patient traveler. Somewhere beyond those stars may lie worlds with their own deserts and skies, their own watchers wondering if they too are alone. The thought is neither lonely nor frightening. It is spacious, like the desert itself, inviting you to keep wandering without hurry. You rise and brush sand from your hands. The path ahead is dim, but clear enough under starlight. Each step feels connected to something vast and ongoing. The questions you carry are not heavy. They are light, like the starlight that travels millions of years to reach your eyes tonight. As you begin to walk again, a subtle glow appears low in the east, the faintest hint of the moon. Its silver arc promises another layer of light, another story waiting in the sky. You feel a quiet anticipation, not of answers, but of the next unfolding mystery. And as the desert night deepens, you wonder what it means to search the heavens for signs, how curiosity itself becomes a companion, guiding you from the familiar toward the unknown, a gentle step toward the dreams that wait in the chapter ahead. In this vast hush, a single question stirs like a distant echo. What draws us to the unknown night after night? And how will that curiosity lead you toward the next horizon of discovery? Chapter 2. Dreams of the Unknown. You feel the timeless pull of wonder, the same quiet force that guides telescopes skyward and turns questions inward. Distant lights seem to call, inviting you to explore why humans have always reached for what lies beyond. In the hush of night, curiosity becomes a gentle current, carrying you toward possibilities as wide as the stars themselves. You linger beneath the vast dome of night, the desert floor cool beneath your feet, the stars like scattered lanterns above. After the quiet lessons of the sand and stone, you now feel something deeper stir, a question that rises like warm air after sunset. It is the same question that has traveled with humanity since the first spark of thought. What lies beyond what I can see? This wondering begins softly. It is not a demand for answers, but a slow exhale of curiosity. Your eyes drift from one bright point to another, tracing shapes our ancestors once called hunters, lions, and rivers of milk. Each pattern holds the weight of countless generations who looked up before you, their hearts caught by the same invisible pull. When they drew these constellations in story and song, they were mapping more than stars. They were mapping the human desire to know. A breeze brushes your face, and you imagine how the earliest skywatchers must have felt. They had no telescopes, no equations, only the naked sky and the rhythm of seasons. Yet they charted solstices, predicted eclipses, and built monuments aligned with the heavens. Stonehenge, Chaco Canyon, the Great Pyramids, each structure is a quiet proof of this relentless curiosity. To wonder is as old as breathing. You settle onto a flat rock and let the night unfold. Overhead, the Milky Way stretches like a luminous river. Modern astronomy tells you that its light is the combined glow of billions of suns. But to your ancient ancestors, it might have seemed a path for souls or a spill of sacred milk. Both visions, scientific and mythic, feel alive in you at once. Knowledge and mystery do not compete here. They dance together like twin currents in the same wide stream. Far off, a faint streak cuts across the sky. Perhaps a meteor, a grain of cosmic dust vaporizing in a flash. You picture it entering the atmosphere at tens of thousands of miles per hour, a silent messenger from interplanetary space. For a brief second it burns brighter than any star, then disappears, leaving only wonder. Even tiny fragments of rock remind you that Earth is never truly isolated. Space is always touching us, particle by particle, light by light. Your thoughts turn outward, past the thin veil of air. Somewhere out there are worlds circling other suns. Astronomers have already confirmed thousands of these exoplanets, some rocky and Earth-sized, some wrapped in thick clouds of gas. They orbit red dwarfs and yellow giants, dancing in orbits that might cradle liquid water. The Kepler and TESS missions have shown that planets are not rare jewels, but common threads in the cosmic fabric. Almost every star you see tonight may host a family of worlds. You, imagine standing on one of those planets, perhaps under a lavender sky, perhaps with two moons rising together. Would there be oceans, winds, creatures that pause to gaze upward as you do now? The thought is neither science fiction nor pure fantasy. It is a quiet extension of what physics allows. Life, after all, is a patient chemist. Given time, molecules assemble, energy flows, and something begins to breathe. A low hum of awe settles through you. This feeling, the mingling of knowledge and wonder, is what astronomers call the overview effect, though you need no spaceship to sense it. To contemplate the universe is to feel both small and vast. The atoms in your body were forged in stellar furnaces billions of years ago. Calcium in your bones, iron in your blood, each element born in a star's violent death, scattered across space and gathered again into the shape that is you. You are literally the cosmos thinking about itself. The desert air cools further, and you pull your jacket closer. You notice how curiosity warms you from within, a quiet flame that resists the night's chill. Our species has carried this flame across millennia through the invention of mathematics, the building of observatories, the launch of telescopes into orbit. From Galileo's first look through a simple lens to the vast mirrors of the James Webb Space Telescope, each step has been an act of reaching outward and inward at once. You think of the scientists who listen for whispers from the stars. Radio dishes sweep the sky, searching for signals not made by nature. So far, they have found only cosmic static, but even silence has its music. It tells us something about the scale of the search, about patience, about the immensity of time. Perhaps another civilization listens too, their instruments turned our way, both sides waiting like two distant hearts sensing each other. Through the dark, your breathing slows to match the rhythm of these thoughts. You realize that the drive to explore is not just about rockets or data. It lives in every person who wonders why the moon changes shape, who stands at a window during a storm, and counts the seconds between lightning and thunder. Curiosity is the quiet thread that connects every human generation. It binds hunter-gatherers to astrophysicists, storytellers to engineers. Another meteor flashes, this one faint and quick. You feel it like a nod from the universe, a reminder that the unknown is always nearer than it seems. The desert becomes a bridge between earth and sky. The stones beneath you formed in ancient seas. The heavens above you filled with light that began its journey before life existed here. Time folds gently, and you are part of both past and future. You close your eyes, letting the night seep into your senses. The air smells faintly of sage and cool dust. In the darkness behind your eyelids, stars remain, their light imprinted on your vision. You sense that curiosity is not a task to be finished, but a landscape to wander forever. There is no end to this journey, only deeper layers of seeing and wondering. Somewhere beyond the mountains, experimental aircraft may slice through the sky, their presence hidden, their mission secret. Yet even the hush of secrecy cannot dim the larger truth. The universe invites every question, welcomes every gaze. Whether you seek distant galaxies or the delicate chemistry of your own breath, the act of wondering itself is the discovery. The night grows deeper, the stars more numerous. You feel as though the sky has leaned closer, an intimate companion. Questions drift like slow clouds. What new worlds are forming right now? What ancient light is only now reaching us? Could someone, somewhere, be looking back? None of these questions need immediate answers. Their beauty lies in their openness, in the gentle space they create inside you. A faint glow rises in the east, the earliest hint of moonlight, or perhaps the faraway shimmer of human settlement. It does not break the spell. Instead, it folds into the quiet, a reminder that curiosity continues whether day or night. You stand, brushing sand from your hands, carrying with you the calm excitement of infinite possibility above. The constellations glide westward with the turning earth. You feel the motion not as speed, but as a subtle heartbeat of the planet itself. The unknown is not far away. It is here, in every shift of light, in every breath of wind, in every question that opens another dot. And as you take a slow step toward the next stretch of desert, you sense how these dreams of the unknown are leading you toward a new kind of mystery, one rooted not only in stars and planets, but in the hidden landscapes of human history, waiting quietly in the shadowed desert ahead. Somewhere in that shadow, a place of secrets waits, where human curiosity meets the silence of guarded skies, and the next chapter of your journey quietly begins. Chapter 3. A place called Area 51, beneath an endless canopy of night. A remote airfield emerges as a landscape of rumor and research. You walk slowly through history, Cold War tests, experimental aircraft, and the delicate balance between secrecy and discovery. The desert holds its stories close, yet every grain of sand seems to whisper fragments of the truth. You leave the wide desert floor and follow a faint track of packed earth toward a low range of mountains. The stars remain your quiet companions, but ahead a darker shape interrupts their shine. A cordoned valley, a hollow wrapped in silence. Locals call it Groom Lake. On maps for many years, it was nothing at all. The air cools as you descend into the basin. In daylight, the ground would gleam white with salt, the ghost of a long evaporated lake. Tonight, it is a muted silver plain, flat and endless, reflecting starlight like a hidden mirror. To your right, a road vanishes into the distance, lit only by the soft glow of the Milky Way. No signposts guide you. No fences invite you in. You pause and listen. The desert is still, but not empty. A low hum seems to hang in the air, a trick of the wind perhaps, or the memory of engines long gone. You remember that this valley once echoed with experimental flights, secret machines slicing through the night. During the tense decades of the Cold War, this place was a cradle of innovation. Engineers and pilots tested aircraft whose shapes the world had never seen, pushing the edges of aerodynamics, speed, and stealth. Imagine the late 1950s. The world above the clouds was a contested frontier, and the United States sought eyes in the sky. Here they built and flew the U-2 reconnaissance plane, designed to soar higher than radar could reach. Later came the sleek black SR-71 Blackbird, faster than sound, able to outrun missiles. Each test flight began in darkness, the roar of engines swallowed quickly by the vast Nevada night. To those watching from afar, the movements of these aircraft swift, silent, luminous must have looked otherworldly. Stories began to bloom like desert flowers after rain. Unidentified lights darting across the sky. Metallic shapes that seemed to defy gravity. The secrecy of the base fed every rumor. People wondered if the government was hiding not just technology, but visitors from distant stars. The term UFO moved from technical shorthand unidentified flying object to a cultural symbol of the unknown. You walk on, feeling the tension between mystery and method. Behind each legend lies a simple truth. New technology often appears magical before it is explained. The U-2's silver fuselage, catching the sun at high altitude, could look like a star moving at impossible speed. The Blackbird's titanium skin glowed cherry red from friction with the upper atmosphere, a fiery streak across twilight. To observers on the ground, these were not mere planes but omens. The night air carries a dry chill. You imagine the teams who worked here, scientists and pilots sworn to silence, their lives marked by long absences and coded conversations. They labored not for fame, but for progress measured in secret victories. Their craft would one day influence civilian aviation, satellite design, and even the materials in everyday devices. Yet for years, their efforts remained invisible, known only by their echoes in rumor. A meteor flashes overhead, a clean white arc. You follow its path and think of how easily human perception can blur the natural and the artificial. A streak of space dust, a classified aircraft, a distant planet seen from the ground, they all become points of light, each inviting interpretation. Our senses, so keen yet so limited, weave the sky into story. You reach a ridge where the view opens wide. Below, the dry lake bed stretches like a silver sheet. At its center lies a grid of runways faintly visible in the moonlight. No lights shine, no engines start, yet the emptiness feels alive with possibility. This is Area 51, a name that began as a technical label on a government map, now a symbol of secrecy known around the world. The science here is both practical and profound. Testing experimental aircraft demands controlled isolation. Engineers need open airspace, predictable weather, and distance from prying eyes. The Nevada desert offers all of this: vastness, clarity, a natural cloak of silence. Secrecy is not simply a choice, but a tool as essential as steel or fuel. To protect new ideas, sometimes they must be hidden until their time arrives. You sit on a smooth rock and let these thoughts settle. The hush around you feels almost deliberate, as if the land itself agrees to keep its secrets. Yet the universe above offers no secrecy. Starlight travels freely, crossing unimaginable distances to meet your gaze. It reminds you that even the most guarded human place exists within an open cosmos, where light cannot be contained. Consider how knowledge unfolds. Decades after the first flights, once classified programs became public history. Declassified documents revealed the U-2's true purpose, the engineering marvel of the Blackbird, the countless incremental steps that turned speculation into technology. What once seemed alien became another chapter in human ingenuity. Mystery, when met with patience and inquiry, often transforms into understanding. You trace the horizon with your eyes. Somewhere beyond those mountains lies the rest of the world's cities alive with movement. Scientists scanning the skies, children making wishes on shooting stars. The questions that bring them wonder are the same that echo here. Are we alone? How far can we travel? What new forces might lift us beyond our limits? The desert answers with silence, but not indifference. In its stillness, you sense encouragement, as though the quiet itself invites you to keep asking. Curiosity is the true engine hidden beneath every project, every rumor, every night of watchful waiting. It is the same force that draws astronomers to distant galaxies and explorers to uncharted seas. The base may guard its gates, but the sky belongs to everyone willing to look up. A faint breeze stirs the salt crust at your feet. The grains glitter like tiny stars fallen to earth. You breathe in the coolness and feel how the line between science and wonder is thin and permeable. To study the unknown is to stand, as you do now, between explanation and mystery, patient with both. Above you, the constellations drift westward, slow and eternal. The planet turns, carrying Area 51, its secrets, and you along with it. Nothing is truly still. Knowledge, too, is always moving, classified today, revealed tomorrow, inspiring questions the day after. What is hidden is often only waiting for the right moment to be seen. You rise and begin the walk back toward the open desert. The stars remain steady and bright. Each step feels like a bridge between human invention and cosmic openness, between the guarded and the infinite. Behind you, the valley settles deeper into night, a quiet laboratory of both science and story. As you crest the ridge once more, the desert beyond spreads wide and inviting, a canvas of sand and shadow leading to the greater sky. The air carries a subtle shift, as though urging you onward, not to answer, but to the next question waiting just beyond the horizon dot. And as you follow that invitation into the wider night, your thoughts turn toward the boundless heavens themselves, where telescopes listen for signals and the search for life beyond Earth quietly continues. Chapter 4. The Bob Lazar story, a name, floats through the hush. Bob Lazar. You listen to a calm recounting of his claims, while the steady rhythm of scientific skepticism offers grounding. Facts and questions mingle like shifting desert wind. Rumor and reason drift together in the quiet night, inviting you to weigh wonder against evidence. Asterisk, the desert night remains still around you, a vast cradle of silence. Stars spill across the black sky like scattered embers, their light traveling for ages to arrive here now. At the edge of Groom Lake, you breathe in the cool air and sense a name moving through the quiet, as soft as wind over sand. Bob Lazar. The name carries stories, extraordinary stories, of hidden laboratories and machines not of this earth. You walk slowly, letting each step keep time with your breath. In the late 1980s, Lazar emerged in televised interviews, his face partly hidden, his voice steady. He claimed that beyond the guarded perimeter of Area 51 lay another site, called S4, where he had worked on reverse engineering, a captured spacecraft of non-human origin. He spoke of a propulsion system bending space itself, of an element unknown to science that fueled it. His words lit imaginations like sparks on dry grass. You pause, feeling the weight of those claims. If true, they would reshape everything you know about life in the universe. Yet truth asks for more than fascination. As you stand in the desert's patient silence, you recall the rhythm of scientific thought. Question, test, repeat. Evidence is the heartbeat of discovery, and without it, stories remain stories. Lazar described a silvery disk powered by a substance he called element 115. At the time, the periodic table listed no such thing. Years later, chemists synthesized a super-heavy element with that number, naming it moscovium. But its known form is unstable, vanishing in moments, far from the miracle fuel Lazar described. Science welcomes coincidences, but waits for confirmation. A name on a chart is not the same as a stable power source. You continue walking, the ground beneath you firm yet forgiving. Skeptical researchers searched for traces of Lazar's education and employment. Records he cited degrees from prestigious universities. Positions at classified labs left only faint and disputed trails. Some colleagues remembered him. Documents often did not. Silence, you realize, can mean many things. Missing files, secretive programs, or simple misremembering. The desert, too, holds its gaps. Still, you notice how his story endures. Decades have passed, yet interviews, documentaries, and debates continue. Why does it linger like a scent in the night air? Perhaps because it touches a deeper human current, the desire to know we are not alone. The possibility of other minds among the stars draws us outward, just as gravity holds us in. Lazar's narrative offers both mystery and intimacy, technology beyond reach, yet tethered to our own planet. The sky above offers perspective. Light from distant galaxies glimmers unchanged by human rumor. Astronomers scan these points with instruments that collect photons, measure spectra, and reveal exoplanets circling suns far away. Each discovery builds on evidence you can trace and test. Science moves slowly, like a river wearing stone, yet it never stops. You crouch and pick up a small rock, cool and rough in your palm. It reminds you of the patience of geology, of how Earth itself keeps records across eons. A story without data is like sand in the wind, beautiful, shifting, but impossible to hold. This thought does not diminish wonder. It refines it. The mind can rest in mystery while the heart remains open to proof. Imagine the engineers working at known research sites around the world, people who design experimental aircraft, who stretch materials and mathematics to their limits. Their projects are quiet, sometimes secret, not because of alien contact, but because innovation often hides until it can be revealed safely. New shapes in the sky can startle those who do not know their origin. Misunderstanding becomes legend. Legend becomes folklore. You lift your gaze again. A meteor slides across the dark, quick and soundless. To someone unprepared, it might seem deliberate, even guided. Yet you know it is a fragment of cosmic dust, obeying gravity's simple pull. Understanding does not steal its beauty. It deepens it. The cool wind carries a faint scent of sage. You reflect on how curiosity thrives on balance between belief and doubt, imagination and measurement. Lazar's story inhabits that balance. It cannot be proved, yet it invites questions worth asking. How would we recognize technology not our own? What evidence would convince us? How do we keep wonder alive without letting it outrun reason? A distant owl calls, its note low and lingering. You feel the echo inside yourself. Perhaps that is why the tale remains. It sings to the same part of you that watches the stars and whispers, "What if?" This quiet yearning is older than any single account. It is the pulse of exploration, the same force that sends telescopes outward and minds inward. You start back toward the ridge, each step a gentle percussion in the night. Whether Lazar spoke truth or illusion, his story becomes part of a larger human narrative, a reminder that discovery is both an outer and inner journey. To question is to move. Even when the answer stays beyond reach. At the crest, you pause once more. The valley behind you lies in perfect darkness, the runways hidden, the mountains a deeper shade of night. Above, the Milky Way arcs like a slow river of fire. You stand between secrecy and the infinite, aware that the universe is vast enough to hold both skepticism and awe. Your breath slows. The desert wind softens. You let the name drift away, not as certainty, not as dismissal, but as part of the wide conversation between wonder and proof. The stars remain, patient as ever, their light a quiet invitation. And as you follow that invitation, your thoughts begin to reach beyond a single story toward the open question of life itself, waiting somewhere in the boundless dark. Chapter 5. Physics of Possibility. You glide through gentle explanations of propulsion, gravity, and the mathematics of interstellar travel. Each concept shines like a distant star you can almost touch, turning complex physics into a quiet meditation. Space and science merge into a single, soothing rhythm of curiosity and calm. The desert night lingers around you like a soft cloak. Stars hang steady overhead, silent beacons of distance and time. As you breathe, you sense the steady tug of Earth's gravity, a quiet reminder that every journey outward begins with a force pulling inward. Tonight, you let your mind drift past the fence of rumor and into the open landscape of physics, where possibility is drawn not by secrecy, but by the language of nature itself. You begin with propulsion, the art of motion. Imagine a single ember in the darkness, a rocket engine igniting, gases rushing backward, the craft moving forward. Newton's third law, every action has an equal and opposite reaction, becomes more than a rule. It is a heartbeat of travel. In the gentle hush of space, this principle remains true, whether for a small satellite or a grand ship of the future. You picture the simple grace of it, momentum exchanging like a quiet dance, push and pull mirrored across the void. Chemical rockets, though, carry weight and limits. Fuel is heavy. Speed demands more fuel, and more fuel adds more mass. The equation curves back on itself, like a desert track looping toward the horizon. Engineers call it the tyranny of the rocket equation. You call it a soft boundary, an invitation to imagine something beyond fire and exhaust. Ion engines answer with patience rather than power. They breathe out charged particles so gently you might not feel the thrust. Yet over months and years, they build silent speed. You think of them as cosmic slow walker's craft that drift steadily until their momentum surpasses what brute force could achieve. Deep space probes, like subtle poets, already use this whispering technology to roam between planets. Still, the stars are farther than patience alone can bridge. Your thoughts move to sails of light-great reflective sheets, pushed by the pressure of photons. Sunlight itself becomes a wind, each particle carrying a gentle nudge. You picture an endless shimmering sail catching the radiance of a nearby star, gliding outward on a breeze older than life. It feels almost like a dream, motion without engine, silence carrying you toward the infinite. Yet gravity itself offers a more ancient and powerful ally. You remember the slingshot paths of Voyager and other probes, using the pull of planets to gain speed. A spacecraft approaching a giant world dips into its well of gravity and emerges flung forward, borrowing momentum from a planet's orbit. Nature provides the assist, as if the cosmos wants explorers to go further. Your mind drifts to the deeper puzzle. What is gravity, really? You recall Einstein's vision space and time, woven together like a soft fabric, curving where mass resides. Picture a blanket stretched tight, a smooth plane under starlight. Place a heavy stone in its center. The blanket sags. Smaller marbles roll inward, not because of an invisible string, but because the surface itself bends. You stand on Earth, feeling that curve beneath your feet, the planet cradling you in its gentle depression of spacetime. To travel faster than light would mean finding a way not just across space, but through the geometry of reality. Here the imagination lingers on concepts like warp drives or wormholes, mathematical possibilities whispered by equations, not confirmed by experiment. A warp drive, in theory, compresses space ahead and expands it behind, carrying a bubble faster than light without the bubble itself breaking the cosmic speed limit. You picture space folding like the slow closing of a book, two distant pages touching. The numbers involved are immense. Energies greater than entire stars, negative masses that remain hypothetical. These are not blueprints, but meditations, ideas that stretch the mind like a slow, deliberate breath. They remind you that physics is not only a catalog of what is, but also a map of what might one day be. Even the fabric of time invites wonder. As objects approach light speed, clocks aboard them tick more slowly. This is not an illusion, but the deep structure of the universe. You imagine a traveler crossing interstellar space, years passing gently for them while decades or centuries slide by for those who stay behind. Time becomes elastic, a quiet ripple in the cosmic pond. You pause to feel the weight of these thoughts. Each principle: Newton's motion, Einstein's curvature. The speculative folds of space-time rests on observation, mathematics, and patient testing. They are not wild rumors. They are the slow music of reality, measured and repeatable. Yet their beauty is no less profound for being true. Above, a shooting star arcs across the dark. Perhaps it is a grain of comet dust, perhaps a small memory of creation itself. It burns quickly, but its light lingers in your eyes. You think of distant civilizations, if they exist, also watching their skies, bound by the same physics, perhaps dreaming of the same possibilities. The laws of motion, gravity, and light are not ours alone. They are the shared language of the cosmos. You step lightly on the desert floor, each footprint a quiet experiment in force and reaction. Beneath you the planet spins, its motion unseen yet unstoppable. Around it the moon circles, and around both the sun, and around the sun the galaxy wheels. Every movement, from pebble to planet, follows the same patient equations. You are part of this dance, and so is every star you will never reach. In this realization lies a calm truth. Even if humanity never crosses to another star, you already belong to the great unfolding of space. Light from distant suns travels freely to meet your eyes. Gravity's embrace ties you to the whole. Exploration is not only about distance. It is about attention, about letting wonder stretch as far as thought can travel. The breeze grows cooler. You lift your gaze and feel how possibility itself is a form of motion, a current that carries you beyond today's engines and today's questions. The physics of tomorrow begins in the quiet willingness to imagine. You take one last breath of the desert night, sensing that the story is not finished. Beyond the mechanics of propulsion and the curves of space-time lies an even wider inquiry. If we can travel so far, what might we discover waiting in that boundless dark? And with that soft question resting in your mind, you follow the starlight toward the next chapter, where the search for life beyond Earth begins to unfold. Chapter 6. Eyes to the sky, your gaze moves outward to telescopes, satellites, and the soft hum of cosmic background radiation. Evidence and wonder sway together like moonlight on water, reminding you how vast and tender the universe can feel. In the quiet of night, instruments become extensions of your own sight, gathering whispers from galaxies you may never visit. The desert has fallen into a deeper silence, the kind that seems to widen with every breath you take. Above you, stars wheel slowly across an ink-black sky. Their light is ancient, their presence steady. You feel the weight of that steadiness, as if the universe itself is leaning gently against your shoulders. You tilt your head and imagine your vision, stretching farther than the eye allows. A telescope, after all, is simply an eye made vast. Glass lenses and polished mirrors gather faint light and bend it to a single point, concentrating 1 billion years of travel into a small circle of brightness. You picture the great observatories kept on Mauna Kea, the very large telescope and chilly quiet sentinels high above the clouds, their domes opening like slow blossoms to the night. Each one listens in its own way. Some collect visible light, the familiar glow of stars and nebulae. Others reach into the infrared, detecting warmth where the human eye sees nothing. Still others, like the mighty radio dishes at Arecibo's successor sites, or the vast network of the Square Kilometer Array, tune themselves to the universe's faintest murmurs. The cosmos speaks in many voices. We build many ears. You imagine photons leaving a distant galaxy long before Earth formed oceans, streaming across expanding space until they finally settle on a mirror and reveal their story. To look through a telescope is to accept a gift of time. The past arrives on a beam of light, a history lesson written in wavelengths. Each observation is a quiet conversation between what was and what is. Your thoughts drift to satellites, the tireless messengers circling high above. Some watch the shifting weather of our own planet, tracing the swirl of storms. Others, like the Hubble Space Telescope, hang far beyond the atmosphere, where the air's shimmer cannot blur their sight. Hubble has shown us the delicate arcs of distant galaxies, the deep blues of newborn stars, the faint trace of planets around other suns. Its cameras work while you sleep, sending home postcards from billions of light years away. Newer travelers continue the mission. The James Webb Space Telescope, with its honeycomb of golden mirrors, gathers light stretched by the universe's expansion into the infrared. It peers toward the earliest dawns, when the first galaxies kindled and the cosmic night began to glow. You think of it unfolding in space like a slow breath, each segment clicking into place with patient precision. Beyond even these instruments lies a subtler presence, the cosmic microwave background. It is not a single point of light, but a universal hush, a faint afterglow of the Big Bang itself. Sensitive detector satellites like COBE, WMAP, and Planck have mapped this ancient radiation, revealing ripples less than 1/millionth of a degree. You imagine that glow as a soft warmth behind all darkness, a memory the universe carries in every direction. Listening to it is like hearing the echo of creation in a seashell held to your ear. You walk a little farther, your feet stirring quiet eddies of sand, Overhead, constellations form and dissolve in your peripheral vision. You recall how cultures across Earth have traced meaning in these same stars. Stories of hunters and sisters, of rivers and dragons. Even now, with our detectors and spectrographs, we still name patterns, still seek connection. Science and myth are not enemies. They are two ways of seeing the same sky dot. The wind shifts, and you think of the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. The long, patient scan for signals not born of stars or quasars. Vast radio arrays tilt their dishes toward promising systems, sifting through static for a pattern that might be a greeting. Decades have passed without a confirmed call, yet the listening continues. Silence, too, has meaning. It teaches us about probability, about the rarity and resilience of life. You pause, noticing how your own heartbeat seems to sync with the slow pulse of the night. Every instrument humanity has built, from the simplest backyard telescope to the most sensitive space observatory, is really an extension of this same desire to feel at home in a universe that is both infinite and intimate. The technology is complex, but the impulse is ancient. We look up because we belong to what we see not far to the west. A faint line of satellites glints in orderly procession, perhaps a train of communication craft, perhaps a cluster of small observatories on their own quiet missions. They remind you that exploration is no longer confined to grand government projects. Private ventures now launch telescopes the size of suitcases, each contributing a brushstroke to the grand picture of the cosmos. The sky itself seems to lean closer as you reflect on what all these eyes have shown. Exoplanets circling suns in every stage of life. Black holes spinning space into luminous rings. Galaxies colliding in slow dances lasting billions of years. The discoveries are not distant abstractions. They are chapters of your own origin story, for the atoms in your body were forged in ancient stars and scattered by supernova winds. You inhale deeply, letting the thought settle. When you peer into the night, you are not merely observing. You are remembering. The light that reaches you has touched every element that makes you whole. A shooting star grazes the horizon, silent and brief. Somewhere a detector might record its spectrum, measuring its speed, its mineral makeup. But you simply watch, and that is enough. Wonder needs no data to exist. It lives alongside data, each enriching the other. The night grows cooler. Around you, the desert seems to hum with the same quiet energy that fills the instruments of science. Their metal frames and polished mirrors are not cold mechanisms, but partners in a shared curiosity. They gather what you cannot reach and offer it back as gentle proof that the universe is knowable, even in its vastness. You close your eyes and picture all those distant observatories, mountain domes turning with the earth, satellites gliding in precise arcs, antennas waiting in lonely valleys. Together, they form a network of listening and light, a planetary heartbeat reaching outward. When you open your eyes, the stars are unchanged, patient and eternal. Yet you feel the difference in yourself, a quiet expansion, as if your own senses have stretched across light years. The sky is no longer a ceiling. It is a continuation of your own being. A breeze lifts and fades, carrying a hint of the coming dawn. You sense that the story is not done. For if we can listen so carefully and see so far, the next question follows naturally. What forms of life might be waiting in that endless dark? And how will we know them when their light finally reaches us? With that gentle wondering, you step forward, ready to follow the next trail of curiosity into the possibility of worlds alive beyond our own. Chapter 7. The human lens memory drifts like a soft tide, carrying fragments of nights and days. Perception bends light and sound into stories only you can tell. Culture weaves shared patterns, a tapestry of meaning across generations. In this quiet chapter, you discover how the mystery of the cosmos is also the mystery of the mind. The night remains velvet and still, yet you feel movement inside your own thoughts. The stars above are steady, but the way you see them is alive, shifting like water touched by moonlight. Vision, you realize, is not only what enters the eye. It is what the mind allows to bloom. Close your eyes and notice how even darkness carries shape. Behind your lids, faint patterns swirl, echoes of neurons sparking, memories flickering. Your brain is never still. It paints the world moment by moment, layering expectation over raw sensation. Every glint of starlight is filtered through past experiences. The stories you were told as a child, the images you've stored across years of dreaming. Think of a telescope lens. It gathers light, but without the mirror in the mind to interpret the pattern. It is only brightness without meaning. Your senses are the same. The human eye collects photons. The mind assembles them into constellations, faces, landscapes. In this assembly lies wonder and also illusion. You recall times when a shadow seemed alive, when a faint sound in the dark became footsteps. These are not failures of perception, but signs of an ancient skill, the ability to imagine possibilities before certainty arrives. It kept your ancestors safe on moonless nights and guides you still when you interpret a sky full of unfamiliar lights. Memory joins this quiet process. Each moment you experience is braided with moments that came before. The smell of rain carries the echo of childhood storms. The shimmer of Venus may awaken a memory of a first love or a long-ago conversation. Neuroscientists describe memory as reconstruction, not playback. Like an artist retouching a canvas, your mind paints anew each time you recall. What you remember is a living creation, shifting subtly with mood, time, and context. Culture, too, becomes a lens. Across millennia, people have looked upward and found meaning shaped by their own lives. Ancient Greeks traced the hero Orion. Polynesian navigators read the night as a map across oceans. Storytellers on every continent spun myths to anchor the unknown. These myths are not mistakes. They are maps of feeling, guiding generations through seasons, migrations, and the long curiosity that binds us all. Even in an age of satellites and spectrographs, culture whispers through our seeing. A scientist searching for an exoplanet brings personal hopes to the data. A photographer capturing a lunar eclipse chooses a frame that reflects a private sense of beauty. What you believe about the universe, whether it is infinite, conscious, or silent, is shaped by language, by upbringing, by every conversation you have ever had beneath the stars. Dreams blur these boundaries further. You drift each night into worlds without the tether of physics, where distances collapse and time bends. Neurobiology explains the mechanics, the hippocampus weaving memory fragments, the cortex improvising narrative. Yet to you, a dream can feel as real as any waking moment. You may wake with the taste of a distant ocean on your tongue, or the echo of a voice that never existed. In that half-light of waking, the mind proves its power to create realities. Consider how sightings of mysterious lights often occur at dusk or just before sleep, when the border between dream and waking is thin. A bright planet low on the horizon shimmers in warm air and becomes, for a heartbeat, something uncanny. Your brain fills gaps with story, a gentle habit of survival and imagination. Science calls it pareidolia, the tendency to see faces in clouds, figures in shadows, but the experience feels deeper than a definition. Even the act of listening changes what is heard. Cognitive researchers speak of top-down processing. Your expectations shape perception before the signal even reaches awareness. If you wait for a whisper in static, you may begin to hear it, not because it exists, but because your attention invites it. The cosmos is full of faint signals. Your mind is full of eager pattern makers. Together they dance, sometimes creating music that exists only in that meeting. You stroll beneath the night sky and feel how these truths do not lessen the wonder, they deepen it. The fact that reality is filtered through consciousness means you participate in the universe's unfolding. You are not a passive observer. You are a collaborator in the grand act of noticing dot in the soft sand beneath your feet. You sense the imprints of countless others who have watched these same stars. Their thoughts, their myths, their questions ripple through you like a quiet chorus. The universe is vast, but your way of seeing is intimate, shaped by every heartbeat of human history. A gentle breeze carries the scent of sage and dust. You breathe in, aware of how even smell entwines with memory, anchoring you to a moment that will itself become a memory soon. Somewhere within, neurons fire, connections shift, a new trace is laid down. Tomorrow, when you recall this night, it will already be a creation, a blend of sensation and imagination. You let that awareness soften you. There is no need to capture the stars exactly as they are. Their true essence is not diminished by the stories you weave. The universe remains steady and luminous, whether you name a constellation or simply call it beautiful. Perhaps this is the quiet truth. Mystery lives not only in galaxies or dark matter, but in the space between perception and reality. The human lens, your lens, is both a gift and a question. It allows you to touch infinity with thought, to paint the void with meaning, to find comfort in patterns, even when none were intended. You gaze upward one more time. The sky has not changed, but it feels closer, as though it recognizes your attention. Stars shimmer with ancient light, yet what you truly witness is the meeting of outer and inner worlds dot as you turn to leave. A final thought lingers, soft and unhurried. If the mind can shape the heavens so gently, what other frontiers of perception might awaken when you dare to imagine what lies beyond the reach of sight? And with that wondering, you step forward, carrying the quiet possibility that the next mystery waits not only in the cosmos, but in the very act of seeing itself. Chapter 8. Night signals, faint waves, slip through the dark like silver threads of sound. Antennas turn their quiet faces to the sky, waiting without hurry. Between pulses and pauses, you sense the vast patience of the cosmos. Silence itself becomes a message, a soft language of infinite distance. The desert night deepens around you, cool and wide, while the sky hums with secrets. You can't hear them with your ears, but the universe is alive with signals long, low notes of radio waves sliding silently across unimaginable gulfs. You walk toward a hilltop dish, its white arc glinting under the moon. It waits like a listening ear, tilted upward to catch the faintest murmur from beyond. Imagine a single photon, a messenger of light traveling for eons. Now imagine a radio wave, a sibling of that photon, stretching its wavelength across miles, rippling softly through the fabric of space. These waves slip past stars and clouds of dust, carrying the history of explosions and the breath of distant suns. Your own body, warm and small beneath this sky, emits whispers too tiny electromagnetic sighs that drift outward forever. The great antennas of Earth keep vigil for these whispers. In New Mexico, a field of dishes fans across the plain like a chorus of pale flowers. In the hills of Puerto Rico, a massive bowl once listened to the heavens, catching echoes of pulsars and galaxies. Each dish turns slowly, not chasing, but welcoming whatever arrives. Their movement is almost meditative, deliberate, patient, accepting. You pause and breathe with them. The air tastes of stone and night-blooming sage. Your own heartbeat seems to join the rhythm of the sky. Scientists call this search SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. But tonight it feels less like a hunt and more like a prayer of curiosity, a way of saying, we are here and we are listening. The signals they seek are faint beyond imagining. A star's radio pulse arrives weaker than the touch of a single snowflake on your skin. To detect it, researchers cool receivers to near absolute zero, quieting every molecule so that a single cosmic whisper can stand out. They record long stretches of static, then comb the data for patterns: a narrow spike, a repeating beat, a clue that somewhere, someone else is sending a deliberate hello dot. Sometimes the universe answers in its own wild voice. Pulsars: collapsed stars, spinning faster than a blender blade, flash radio beams with clockwork precision. Quasars roar with energy from hungry black holes. Even the cosmic microwave background, the leftover glow of the Big Bang, hums a constant lullaby across every direction. The sky is never truly silent. It sings in a register too deep for human ears. You think of how this listening resembles your own inner quiet. To hear a subtle thought or a fragile memory, you must first stop the noise. In meditation, breath slows, attention softens, and suddenly, the smallest sensation feels immense. The scientists waiting by their instruments are not so different. They cultivate patience. They lean into silence. They trust that meaning may arrive in a form they cannot yet name. Occasionally, an unusual signal appears: a sharp, unexpected spike, a famous wow. The signal of 1977 lasted only 72 seconds and never returned. Was it a distant transmission or a trick of earthly interference? Decades later, the mystery lingers like a gentle question. These moments are not disappointments, but invitations, reminding you that the universe is larger than certainty. The dishes keep turning, sweeping slowly through constellations. Data streams like quiet rain into computers. Algorithms search for order, but wonder remains in the human hearts behind the screens. They know that even a lifetime of listening might bring no reply. Still, they continue, because the act itself carries beauty. To listen without demand, to reach without grasping. You lift your gaze and feel how these signals pass through you now. Radio waves from a supernova 20 million years ago ripple across your skin unnoticed. The atoms in your body respond with tiny motions, a cosmic dance too subtle to feel. You are both listener and instrument, part of the network of matter that vibrates to the universe's ongoing song. Silence, too, speaks. Each year, without a clear message, reminds scientists of the immense scale of space. Civilizations may be rare, or far apart, or simply quiet. Perhaps life communicates in ways beyond electromagnetic waves, patterns of gravity, quantum pulses, or languages of chemistry we have yet to imagine. The absence of an answer is itself a form of information, telling us about distance, about time, about the precious rarity of our own blue planet. The thought is neither lonely nor bleak. Instead, it deepens your sense of connection. The same physics that lets a radio wave travel unbroken for billions of miles also binds your body together, keeps your heartbeat steady, lets you whisper to a friend across a room. You are stitched into the fabric that carries every signal, every star-born breath dot. As you stand beside the great dish, the horizon lightens slightly with the coming dawn. The instrument continues its slow arc, indifferent to sunrise, listening for messages older than Earth itself. You close your eyes and let the quiet reach you. There is no rush. The universe is patient. A gentle question rises within you, unhurried and profound. If we are capable of such deep listening to the sky, might we also learn to listen as carefully to one another? The dish keeps turning, and you sense that the next chapter of discovery may not be out there alone, but also here waiting in the fragile space between every heartbeat and every distant star. Chapter 9. Life beyond Earth. Beneath red dust and frozen seas, tiny worlds keep their secrets. Oceans slumber beneath ice, warmed by unseen tides. Each possibility drifts toward you like a lullaby of kinship across space and time. You listen for the quiet truth that life may not be ours alone. The night sky stretches wide, but tonight you travel inward, through memory and imagination, toward places where life might already be waiting. You breathe slowly, feeling how your own cells hum with quiet electricity. That same chemistry: carbon, water, energy could flicker anywhere the universe provides shelter. The thought is gentle, not shocking, as though the cosmos has always whispered it to you. Begin with Mars, the planet that glows like an ember near the horizon. For centuries, it has teased human eyes with a hint of motion. Early astronomers drew canals across its face, imagining engineers of another kind. Today, the dream is humbler and more profound. Rovers roll across ancient lakebeds, brushing dust from stones older than Earth's continents. They search for the faint signature of past microbes, patterns of carbon, the residue of breathing. Beneath the rusty crust, radar hints at briny pools kept liquid by hidden heat. If life once lived their tiny cells sheltered in rock, it may still sleep in the cold, waiting for the right warmth to awaken. Your thoughts drift outward to the moons of Jupiter. Europa circles in icy silence, its surface etched with lines like the cracks of an eggshell. Below that frozen skin lies an ocean deeper than any on Earth, stirred by the giant planet's tidal pull. Scientists suspect vents at the seafloor, spewing minerals and heat. On Earth, such vents cradle thriving ecosystems, teeming with creatures that need no sunlight. You picture Europa's dark waters, perhaps filled with microscopic swimmers, their lives lit by the slow glow of chemical energy. Saturn offers another lullaby. Enceladus, a small moon bright as fresh snow, surprises explorers with geysers that shoot water hundreds of miles into space. Cassini, the patient spacecraft, once sailed through that icy spray and tasted organic molecules' carbon chains that hint at life's recipe. Each plume is a whisper across the void, a soft exhale from an unseen ocean. Beyond the giant planets drifts Titan, Saturn's larger moon, wrapped in a golden haze. Its lakes of liquid methane mirror a different kind of chemistry, one not bound to water. Could life there be built from something we barely understand? Membranes of methane, slow reactions in the cold? Your mind stretches, imagining forms of existence beyond the limits of earthly biology. Life, after all, is not a single pattern but a persistent drive to use energy, to replicate, to endure. Farther still, you follow light to exoplanets, worlds orbiting suns countless light years away. Space telescopes watch their stars for a tiny dimming, the telltale blink of a planet passing across its sun. From that faint signal, scientists read the atmosphere's secrets: water vapor, oxygen, methane, perhaps the chemical imbalance that only living things can create. Each discovery widens the quiet possibility that the universe is rich with habitats, each a small cradle of chemistry. Consider how life began here. On a young Earth, before trees or even continents, simple molecules gathered in warm ponds and deep-sea vents. Energy from lightning and sunlight sparked bonds, forming the first self-copying strands. From that single chance, all diversity unfolded. Forests, whales, your own beating heart. If it happened once, could it not happen again and again, scattered through the billions of stars? You walk slowly beneath the night, feeling the soil beneath your feet. It holds fossils of bacteria older than mountains, proof that life endures through cataclysm. Astrobiologists study these ancient survivors' microbes, thriving in boiling springs, in acidic lakes, beneath Antarctic ice. They are guides to other worlds, showing that life is tougher and more inventive than we once believed. Yet the search is not only about finding new neighbors. It is a meditation on connection. Every element in your body, iron in your blood, calcium in your bones, was forged in the heart of stars long dead. To seek life beyond Earth is to seek kinship with that cosmic family, to remember that you are already part of a grand lineage of matter and light. Still, the silence continues. Radio dishes wait. Rovers dig. No voice has answered. Some scientists wonder if life is common, but fleeting, sparks that flare and fade before they can cross the abyss. Others imagine civilizations too different for us to recognize. The quiet is not disappointment, It is invitation. It tells you there is more to learn, more to imagine, more to listen for. You pause and breathe, sensing that the quest itself is its own kind of life. Curiosity is the heartbeat of your species. Each question keeps you reaching outward, even as you find meaning within. Whether microbes hide beneath Martian dust or swim in alien seas, the search reflects something already alive in you. The need to know that you are not alone out above. The Milky Way arcs like a river of powdered light. You feel small, but not insignificant. You share atoms with those distant stars, and with any quiet organisms that may dream beneath another sky. In that awareness, solitude becomes communion. A gentle thought lingers as you turn toward the coming dawn. If life truly blooms in other corners of the cosmos, what stories might it tell, and what patient signals might it be sending even now? You carry that wondering with you, a soft anticipation that leads you toward the next mystery, the delicate question of how we might one day meet, and how we would choose to listen when the universe finally speaks. Chapter 10. Return to the desert. The night deepens, and the sky bends low with silver light. Grains of sand cool beneath your feet, each a tiny fragment of ancient stone. Stars drift like lanterns above the horizon, their glow a reminder of distant journeys. You circle back to Earth, carrying the serenity of the cosmos in every breath. You stand once more at the edge of the desert, where the air is dry and scented with stone. The same ground you left beneath the wide Milky Way now feels both familiar and new, as though the voyage through cosmic oceans has rearranged the quiet around you. Sand trickles softly between your toes, a sound as delicate as distant rain. Each grain tells a story older than any mountain bits of shattered rock, weathered by time. Fragments of stars collapsed into dust, matter that has wandered for billions of years before settling beneath your feet. Above, the sky spreads without boundary. You breathe in its immensity, noticing how the stars shimmer more clearly here than anywhere else. Desert air carries no moisture to blur their light. They burn with a steadiness that feels eternal, though you know each is a changing sun, aging and transforming in rhythms far beyond human measure. You recall the galaxies you imagined, moons hiding secret oceans, planets breathing invisible atmospheres, and realize they are still out there, silent companions in the endless dark. The desert teaches stillness. During the day it roars with heat, but at night it becomes a cathedral of calm. Wind moves like a low sigh across the dunes, sculpting curves that shift yet endure. You walk slowly, letting your steps match the slow pulse of the land. Each footfall sinks a little, then holds. Here, time is not a line but a circle, like the endless rolling of the sand itself. You tilt your head back and find the Milky Way arcing overhead, a soft river of powdered light. Through its haze you remember the frozen moons of Jupiter, the methane lakes of Titan, the geysers of Enceladus. They remain far away, yet they now feel like neighbors, part of a shared neighborhood of stone and ice. Your journey through those distant possibilities has changed how you see the Earth itself. You sense the kinship of worlds, each turning in its own quiet dance around the same cosmic center. The breeze shifts, carrying a faint scent of creosote and cool rock. Your breath follows its rhythm. Inhale, the memory of stars. Exhale, the soft gravity that keeps you here. You imagine microbes beneath Martian ice, perhaps breathing in sync with your own heartbeat. The thought is not lonely. It is a comforting reminder that life may echo through many corners of the universe. Even if those echoes remain unheard, you pause near a cluster of weathered boulders. Their surfaces glitter faintly under starlight, crystals catching and bending the light like tiny prisms. Geologists call them desert varnish, a thin layer formed by centuries of mineral wind and bacterial touch. It is a reminder that even the most silent stone is not lifeless. Invisible communities of microbes have etched their slow signature here, just as they do in the deepest ocean vents or beneath Antarctic ice. Life finds a way to mark time. Even when no one is watching down as you sit, the sand cools beneath you. You trace patterns with your fingertips, circles within circles, watching how quickly the wind softens each line. It feels like a conversation with impermanence. Stars flare and fade, dunes rise and slip, yet something enduring threads through it all. Perhaps it is the same quiet persistence that lets life bloom in impossible places, the drive to continue, to reach, to become. Your mind drifts to the science that quietly supports these thoughts. Astronomers chart exoplanets by the dimming of starlight. Biologists culture hardy microbes in labs chilled to sub-zero. Engineers send rovers across alien soil. Their work is careful, patient, and endlessly curious. Like the desert itself, their search is not rushed. It moves at the pace of the universe, steady, deliberate, always listening. A soft wind rises, carrying grains of sand that hiss across the surface like whispered music. You close your eyes and hear the texture of the night, the faint hum of distant insects, the occasional rustle of a nocturnal animal, the heartbeat of your own body keeping time. All of it merges into a single slow rhythm, a lullaby older than language. In this moment, the boundary between self and cosmos feels thin, almost transparent. You are a small piece of the vast pattern, but also the pattern itself, aware and alive. You open your eyes to find the constellation Orion climbing the horizon, its belt of 3 stars, bright and sharp. Ancient travelers once used this same constellation to guide their paths across deserts and seas. The light reaching you now left those stars hundreds of years ago, long before telescopes or electricity or your own first breath. To see them is to touch the past directly, to feel the continuity of time stretching behind and ahead. As the hours deepen, the temperature drops. The desert, once warm and fragrant, grows cool enough for you to see your breath. Each exhale becomes a tiny cloud that dissolves into the dark. You think of the atmospheres of distant planets, thin veils of gases that could carry hints of life, just as your breath carries the carbon of ancient stars. The connection is simple, profound, and endlessly repeating. You lie back on the sand, letting the earth support your weight. The grains mold to your shape, a gentle cradle. Above, meteors streak silently, quick silver sparks across the black. They remind you that space is never still. Dust and stone travel between worlds, carrying organic molecules, perhaps even the seeds of life. Some of the elements now within your body may once have traveled the same path, delivered by a meteor long before humanity began. Your eyelids grow heavy, but your mind stays awake, floating between thought and dream. You sense that the universe is both vast and intimate, infinite and personal. The journey outward has brought you inward to a place of quiet understanding. The desert, the stars, the faraway moons, they are whole chapters of the same story, a story that continues whether or not anyone tells it. A faint glow hints at dawn far to the east, but night still holds sway. You feel the slow turning of the planet beneath you, the steady movement that will carry you toward morning. It is a gentle reminder that even as you rest, the earth travels on, spinning, orbiting, part of the grand celestial dance you have spent the night exploring. You breathe in one last deep breath of desert air, cool and dry, filled with the scent of stone and possibility. The stars overhead begin to pale, yet their memory lingers inside you like an afterimage. The journey has not ended. It has simply folded back into the present moment, and as the first edge of light touches the dunes, you sense another question rising with it, a quiet invitation to wonder what new paths of discovery the coming day might reveal. Chapter 11. Dreaming the cosmos galaxies bloom like quiet lanterns beyond the edge of night. Your breath slows, mirroring the patient rhythm of distant stars. Mystery hums beneath every thought, a music too soft for instruments. You drift between waking and dreaming, where science and wonder mingle. You lie beneath a canvas of endless dark, the sand beneath you still warm from the day's sun. The desert is silent except for the faint hush of wind moving across distant dunes, yet your mind is alive with the echoes of all you have seen tonight. Each star above is a pinprick of memory. Each breath carries the faint taste of ancient starlight. You feel as though you have been lifted gently from earth and set adrift on a tide of thought that moves far beyond the boundaries of your own small life. Your eyes trace the Milky Way, that pale river of light stretched from horizon to horizon. Within it shimmer billions of stars, each a sun with its own retinue of planets, moons, and frozen comets. Astronomers say there may be more worlds than grains of sand on every beach of Earth. The thought swells inside you, too large for words, and you let it simply exist, like a note of music held in a long, quiet breath. The human brain is built for stories, and you sense the great story here. Hydrogen clouds collapsing into stars, planets cooling, oceans forming, life beginning as a single trembling cell. You picture these events not as distant history, but as a continuous present, each fusion reaction, each chemical spark still unfolding somewhere in the vast expanse. Even now, new suns ignite in nebulae, their light destined to travel millions of years before touching any eyes. You imagine those first photons, already racing toward futures that may never know them. A meteor cuts across the sky, a brief silver stroke. You follow its path and remember that your own body is built from such remnants. Carbon, iron, calcium, the ashes of ancient stars. You carry in your cells the legacy of supernova, the dust of galaxies. The universe is not something outside you. It lives within you, every heartbeat a quiet echo of cosmic creation. This realization is not loud or startling. It is a slow warmth, like water seeping into dry soil. You close your eyes and feel the subtle pull of gravity, the planet's gentle insistence that you remain connected. Gravity is not just a force. It is a conversation between bodies, a continuous whisper of attraction. You imagine how it shapes galaxies into spirals, how it keeps moons circling planets, how it gathers clouds of gas until fusion ignites. In the darkness behind your eyelids, you sense those spirals turning, patient and unhurried, like vast cosmic whirlpools of light. Thought drifts to time itself. Astronomers measure the age of starlight in billions of years, yet here you are, in a single fragile moment. You inhale, and the universe inhales with you. You exhale, and a star somewhere collapses into silence. The scale is overwhelming, but rather than fear, you feel a deep calm. Time is not a river rushing past. It is an ocean, and you are both the wave and the water. In this half-dreaming state, science becomes something tender. You recall the faint hum of the cosmic microwave background, the afterglow of the Big Bang still ringing through every direction of space. Scientists have mapped this ancient radiation, a soft relic of creation itself. To think that such soundless music bathes every particle, including you, is like knowing that a lullaby has been playing since the universe began. You can almost hear it now, a vibration below hearing, a harmony of beginnings. Your thoughts drift outward again, to the search for life beyond Earth. Perhaps on the moon of Jupiter, microbes breathe beneath a crust of ice. Perhaps on a distant exoplanet, something stirs under a red sun. The possibilities feel endless, yet also intimately connected. Life may be rare, or it may be woven into the fabric of the cosmos, like hidden verses in a song that never stops. Either way, the wonder lies not in answers, but in the quiet pursuit. As you hover at the edge of sleep, dreams begin to blend with these reflections. You picture great luminous clouds of gas, folding into the shapes of mythical creatures, dragons of flame, whales of violet mist. In dream logic, you glide among them, weightless, hearing the low thrum of their slow dance. The scene feels real and not real, a reminder that your own mind is a universe of shifting forms. Just as telescopes reveal distant galaxies, imagination reveals hidden worlds within. You open your eyes for a moment and notice that the stars have drifted slightly, Earth carrying you forward in its rotation. The movement is subtle, a reminder that you are already traveling, spinning on a planet that orbits a star that swirls through, a galaxy that itself glides through expanding space. You are never still. Even in perfect silence, motion enfolds you. A cosmic cradle that never ceases to rock. Sleep draws closer, gentle as a tide. Thoughts slow to the rhythm of your breathing. The universe does not shrink as you rest. It expands inside you. Each inhale feels like gathering starlight. Each exhale like releasing it back to the void. You imagine the galaxies breathing with you, their spiral arms rising and falling in harmony. Somewhere beyond sight, a supernova blossoms, its light already on its way across millions of years. Somewhere else, a planet cools enough for rain to fall for the first time. And here, you lie beneath the same stars that watched over the first humans, the same stars that will shine when you are long gone. The continuity is soothing. Nothing is truly lost. Everything becomes part of the endless cycle of creation and return. You feel the boundary between waking and dreaming soften until it almost disappears. Science and wonder mingle freely, no longer separated by questions or proof. The universe is both a fact and a feeling, both equation and lullaby. In this state, you understand without needing to explain. Mystery is not a puzzle to solve. It is a companion to rest beside. Your breath deepens. The wind hushes. Stars shimmer as though leaning closer. In this quiet, you sense that the cosmos is dreaming too, and that your dream is part of its own infinite story. The edges of consciousness blur, and a final thought rises like moonlight over a calm sea. Every ending is also a beginning, and beyond the darkness of sleep, another journey waits to unfold. Chapter 12. A last quiet question. The night folds around you like a soft, endless blanket. Every breath carries the hush of distant stars and the pulse of ancient light. You feel the weight of all you have wondered and the lightness of not needing every answer. The question itself gentle, infinite becomes the lullaby. You lie where the sand cools to shadow and the air smells faintly of stone and sage. The desert is utterly still now, as if the entire planet has paused to listen with you. Overhead, the stars shine with a clarity that feels both close and impossibly far. You let your gaze drift until the individual points blur into a single soft glow. The sky becomes a quiet ocean, and you, a small boat rocking gently on its surface. Each chapter of your journey tonight lingers in memory like footprints across the dunes. You recall the first twilight, when the horizon blushed and the Earth's rotation became a slow, living heartbeat. You remember the hidden airfields and whispered histories, the scientists listening for signals too faint for ordinary ears, the mathematics of possibility that carried you far beyond your own orbit. All those ideas remain here with you, not as facts to be filed away, but as companions breathing in the same dark. You think of how every discovery began with a question, a curious glance upward, a wondering of what lies just beyond the edge of sight. Questions are not holes to be filled. They are bridges. They carry you outward and inward at once. Tonight you feel that bridge beneath you, steady as bedrock, stretching across the galaxies and deep into the quiet of your own mind. The air cools against your skin. You notice how each exhale rises like a pale wisp of cloud and disappears into the night. In the soft rhythm of breath, you sense the same cycles that shape the universe: expansion and return, ebb and flow, the long inhale of creation and the gentle release of time. There is no hurry. Stars will burn for billions of years. Oceans will rise and recede. Questions will bloom again and again, like wildflowers after rain. Your thoughts turn to life beyond this planet. Not to the proof or the debate, but to the feeling of kinship that comes simply from imagining it. Perhaps somewhere a being strange and beautiful in ways you cannot picture looks up at its own night sky and wonders if it is alone. That single possibility is enough to make the universe feel alive with connection. It does not need confirmation to be real in your heart. You recall the scientists who listen for faint radio whispers, the astronomers who map ancient light, the dreamers who build telescopes larger than cathedrals. Their work is a kind of devotion, a daily practice of curiosity. They, too, rest their faith not on answers, but on the endless invitation to ask. You feel a quiet gratitude for their persistence, a sense that every patient measurement is another candle lit in the dark. A breeze stirs, carrying the scent of distant rain. It moves across the desert with a sound like gentle surf. You realize that Earth itself is part of the conversation. The thin sigh of atmosphere, the subtle magnetic hum, the way our planet spins through the void with silent grace. You are not separate from this movement. You are within it, a note in a cosmic chord that has been playing since before the first sunrise. You let your eyes close. Behind your eyelids, constellations rearrange into slow rivers of light. Shapes form and dissolve spirals, feathers, the curl of a sleeping child's hand. This inner sky feels as real as the one above. Your mind, like the cosmos, is an expanse without edges, capable of holding infinite forms. You drift in that space, weightless, unbound by gravity or time-memory's surface, the hush of a childhood night, the first time you saw the Milky Way. The small thrill of realizing that starlight touching your eyes began its journey before humans built their earliest fires. You sense how every moment of wonder, every quiet gasp, has carried you to this place. Wonder is cumulative. It builds a landscape inside you, a terrain of awe that never erodes in the darkness. A single question rises, not sharp or urgent, but soft as the desert wind. It is not, "Are we alone?" or "What lies beyond?" It is simpler. What does it mean to be part of something so vast? You do not answer. The question is enough. It settles in your chest like a warm stone, grounding you even as your mind floats outward. The stars wheel slowly overhead. Somewhere, invisible to you, a distant galaxy spins in the same quiet rhythm. Somewhere else, a comet traces a path older than every city on Earth. These motions continue whether you wake or sleep, whether you know or forget. Their constancy is a comfort, a reminder that the universe holds you in patterns far larger than any single life. Your breathing grows slow and deep. Each inhale feels like drawing in the night itself. Each exhale, a release into the endless dark. You realize that the act of asking, of simply wondering, is itself a kind of communion. The universe answers not with words, but with the gentle persistence of stars, with the hush of space expanding, with the simple fact that you are here to notice. A meteor flares and fades. You keep your eyes closed and picture its brief brilliance, a silent syllable in the language of the cosmos. Perhaps the next question will rise from that streak of light. Perhaps it will drift down like snow, settling softly until you are ready to follow it. You do not need to know when or how. Curiosity waits, patient as gravity. Sleep comes like a slow tide. Thoughts dissolve into a calm that is neither ending nor beginning. The desert, the stars, the far-off galaxies, all continue their quiet conversations. You sense them not as distant objects, but as a single vast presence, the same presence that fills the space behind your closed eyes. And in that presence, a final awareness blooms, that the beauty lies not in certainty, but in the gentle act of wondering, again and again, without end, that you drift toward dreams, carrying only that thought, and with it, a quiet readiness for the next horizon that calls without urgency, yet never stops calling. And now our journey rests beneath the silent Nevada sky. The desert has gone still again. The questions of Bob Lazar and the hidden world of Area 51 drifting like constellations across your dreams. Whether you believe these stories are truth, legend, or a mixture of both, the wonder they inspire belongs to all of us, the quiet reminder that curiosity is its own form of discovery. If tonight's exploration helped you unwind or sparked a thought you'd like to share, leave a comment below. I read each one, and your reflections guide the next voyages we take together. To keep traveling with us through more peaceful tales of cosmic mystery. Please like this video and subscribe if you haven't already. A gentle tap on the notification bell will let you know when a new bedtime journey is ready. Share this story with a friend who loves drifting into sleep while the universe whispers its secrets. It's a simple way to spread calm and curiosity to someone you care about. Now, let your breath stay slow, your body light, and your thoughts soft as moonlight. The stars will continue their quiet dance until we meet again. Thank you for joining me tonight. May your dreams be wide as the cosmos and gentle as the desert wind.